Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about my last week in games. As always, we'll start with EVE Online, and I did play a little bit less than average EVE Online last week. It's been pretty damn busy at my work with training sessions and things like that. So on a couple of evenings, all I could do was get home, eat a little bit and then crash. I was that tired. Still, when it comes to EVE Online, I managed to get some exploration in, especially with a couple of interesting ships like the Enforcer and also the Kikimora. More on that next week, of course. And my drops, they have been pretty good. I must really say that a lot of these items are up in price by quite a lot. Even the armor resistance modules are often very high in price at the moment. So I really think that it's the abyssal gambling that is increasing demand on those items. And I for one am all for it, of course, because it makes my trips for exploration that much more efficient ISK-wise. PI, I've also been keeping up with that, although I think it was 2 weeks ago that I brought my production over to Jita. So now I've got a couple of weeks at least to go until my planets fill up again. For the BPCs, I do one trip a week at this point, mostly focusing on the Orca BPC, which is still selling really well. The structure BPCs, yeah, a bit of pressure there as well. That's quite unfortunate because the margins there are becoming very thin when you are making copies from an NPC station, and that's what I'm doing. I want to keep those BPCs absolutely 100% safe. And other than that, well, we're just looking forward to the next phase for EVE Online. Of course, it's the deployment of the December patch next week, so we'll have the changes to the war deck mechanics. I'm curious to see if it will put my corporation higher on the radar of the war deck corporations, because of course we do have quite a few structures in Dital, but so far, you know, it's all been going quite nicely. I haven't been war decked in a very long time. After that, the week after the deployment, we'll see a new event. That sounds pretty interesting, and of course I'll try to give you guys some tips and whatever else of information I can find on that event. Next up, we have the World of Warcraft. That has been another, well, normal week, I would say, at this point in the World of Warcraft, mostly focusing on my emissaries, the world quests, and then the battlegrounds for the conquest points. I got the conquest points in 5 days, I think, this time. Just mostly doing a regular battleground and an epic battleground. So there was no brawl so far this week. I think it's starting in a couple of days or something like that, or maybe just started, and that does speed up the process because it's 40 extra conquest points that are very easy to get, but I feel no pressure whatsoever to put more time or effort into the World of Warcraft at the moment, and I'm still looking forward to the next patch 8.1. I think it is, where we'll get more world quests, where we'll get some sort of invasions as part of the world quest mechanic as well, that I think could be very interesting. And for the PvP, well, we see if they just keep up with the conquest points or if they change the way that we get that PvP gear somehow. Because of course, at this point, we are getting close to having like a full rotation. We're basically getting close to getting full 2070, except for the gear that never comes from PvP, which seems to be rings. That is really still a bottleneck. I'm still, you know, using a blue ring. That's really amazing in its stats for my Affliction Warlock, with a lot of mastery with a socket, and it's pretty damn awesome for its level. It's really hard to find a replacement. I could go for like a 350 ring from the auction house, but basically it's so close to the patch that I think there's gonna be basically a drop at some point, and I'm not gonna waste like 60,000 gold on a ring that marginally increases my character at this point anymore. I'm still having fun with the World of Warcraft. I also do enjoy the world quest, so I sometimes do more world quests than I need for the emissary, and that is what's allowing me to do some Azerite power grinding without it feeling like a grind. So I'm at level 31 on my necklace. It's not great, but it's definitely good enough for the PvP gear that I've earned, and I'm just going to keep up like that. The main focus for me is to have fun in the World of Warcraft, not to do grinds to achieve certain objectives or anything like that. I honestly feel like that's almost a useless thing to do in the World of Warcraft, except if you are bent on like reaching certain ranks in PvP or in reaching certain keystones in mythic dungeons or anything like that. But for gear and for progression, there is really really no need to rush anything because, well, the World of Warcraft has changed substantially. It's no longer a team park, it's definitely a team ride at this point, where Blizzard has this very narrow band where everyone is kept in line with each other very closely. And so with the patch, I fully expect that we'll see some mechanics, some catch-up mechanics for newer players yet again. And yeah, there's like no need whatsoever to rush. We'll have higher tier gear that'll probably drop from the World Quest, so that just steps you up quite a lot all of a sudden, and it allows for other players to catch up. And I would feel really bad spending hundreds if not thousands of hours grinding out the very best gear only for a patch to drop and then players get equivalent gear from World Quest and things like that. So it's all about having fun and enjoying my time in the World of Warcraft at the moment. So next up we have some Stellaris, and well, actually I shouldn't say some, I should say quite a lot of Stellaris, and I would say that that's both good and bad news. The good news is I really enjoyed my play sessions with the Mictor incorporators. I played a lot of Stellaris and I got quite a few videos done, in fact, so it's gonna be a small series. I think I've got 6 videos ready with the Mictor incorporators, driven assimilators, super powerful, far more powerful than something like the Exterminators, and something that I should have taken a look at sooner. It's really a Borg playstyle, and whenever you conquer a planet you just automatically start to assimilate the population. And so at this point, not only am I really powerful because of course I just take over planets, I don't need to rebuild everything, I don't need to bomb them to smithereens or anything like that, or wait for the population to die off. No, they just slowly get incorporated into our collective, and you just keep growing that way a lot more quickly and a lot more efficiently. But on top of that, they have both a mechanical pop and a biological pop, which means that you can have 2 pops growing at the same time on those planets. Really powerful for the early game as well. It allowed me to get that economy up and running far more quickly than in other games with stuff like the Exterminators and other game types. So I was very pleasantly surprised, and it's in fact now my my favorite combination would be the driven assimilators. At what point am I stopping the videos at this point? Unfortunately, it is before I could conquer like 40% of the galaxy, but pretty close to that, and before I could engage one of the fallen empires. So that would have been really cool to show. But the bad news is, somewhere last week the new patch hit for Stellaris, and that basically completely messed up the way my game save is now showing up on the game. And I'll be honest, I'm too lazy to go and try to make an old version work or something like that. So it's stopping, I think, at a good place. My final video is actually of something that I managed to do, which I'd never managed to do before, so it's gonna be pretty damn cool. But we won't get to end game, we won't get to either win the game or defeat all of the potential great enemies or anything like that on that playthrough. So looks a lot different now since the patch, and I'll need to decide on like a good time slot to explore the new way that Stellaris works. So I think that pops are gone and things like that, so maybe that advantage of the driven assimilators might be completely gone. It's looking completely different. I don't know anything about this latest patch for Stellaris, but at some point I will definitely go back to it, explore the game on this game mode, and perhaps make some more series out of it, because it is absolutely an amazing game. I love Stellaris. And then for the final game, I also still want to touch a little bit on Fallout 76. That has been less than in the previous week. I think we did one session together, so me and my brother, and then I think I did one session on my own. While I'm still somewhat enjoying Fallout 76, I think it is because we've played so little and we're still such a low level characters that we're still in that building up phase. So I'm level 18, I'm still trying to get better at sneaking around, sniping, building better guns, things like that. I think that makes the experience of going out there, exploring new areas, trying to grab some good resources and then try to build up that way. I still think that that's a fun experience. Of course, if you rush through that in the first week, you're gonna come up against the bugs, the technical difficulties, the repetitiveness and things like that. But at our very slow pace so far, it is still enjoyable to play Fallout 76, and we'll probably just keep that up at whatever pace pace we can manage. It might even slow down more from this, because my brother has bought X4 Foundations and he's enjoying that game quite a lot. Now I'm torn a little bit because I've been enjoying Stellaris so much. There's a new patch to explore, but I also do want to play X4 Foundations at some point. So yeah, this is basically what's in flux at the moment. We are still trying to play some Fallout 76, but will we manage to maintain like a weekly pace, or will that become something that we have to plan beforehand and maybe do like a month of some Fallout 76 so that I have time for the other games? I'm not sure at this point. We'll see about that in the future, of course. But yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say that it's a great game, but I'm definitely trying to get my 60 hours, my $60 out of it, euros for me in this case, of course. And that means that I still have to try to enjoy the game a little bit, and I'm still doing that because I'm still, as I've said, in that build-up phase where I still have new weapons to discover, new interesting perks to discover, new areas to discover in the map as well. I've really been stuck in that forestry area that is very low level, but I think at this point I can go for the swamp, go for the black powder weapons and things like that. So there is still new stuff for me to do in the game, and as I think that I'll slowly keep trying to do that, keep trying to find the time for it. But there are other games on the radar like Stellaris and like X4 Foundation. So we'll see about that in upcoming videos, of course. For now, that was my last week in games. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.